Yeah, good weekend for us. Three much needed wins to keep our pace in the Sun Belt, and I think 12-6, 6-2, and something to nothing on Sunday. So I come through the series. I thought we saw great offensive production from Brooke Ellistad, Sam Rowe. Laney Crater continues to be hot. So we're offensively, we're doing well. I think the big story right now, though, is the defense. 8 double plays on the weekend, only a couple of errors. And I think if you look back, our last 10 games are like a 986 fielding percentage. If you go back 15 games, it's like a 980. And in those 15 games, we turned 15 double plays. And that was a point of emphasis all fall, was learn how to use our defense to get out of jams and get out of big innings and have shutdown innings through the double play. And we're up to 30 now. I think we're leading the nation. So I'm really, really, really proud of that. I think on the pitching, I think we've continued to see great development from Chloe Riasetto. And, of course, Sam Landry, I think, is 9-1 over the last 15-game stretch with like a 1.4 ERA, really coming into her own and developing into a very mature pitcher now. And I think Sam's up 6-0 now. Come in relief, got wins out of the bullpen, got wins when she started. So I'm really proud of that. When you look back at her career, I've asked for a lot of her in the Sun Belt Conference games, and I just see continued development out of Sam Landry, and excited about this upcoming 2-week stretch with JMU and Texas State.
What is Sam doing better? I mean, she's pitched them a lot since she's been here, so we have a huge sample size, but what is she doing better of late?
Maturity. She's so poised on the mound now. Like we when we brought her in this week to get the strikeout of Kate Houston, she executed the game plan to perfection, was able to pitch inside, was able to go to rise ball in. Those are things that earlier in her career, she could do sometimes, but not all the time. And I think we're just seeing a real steady, mature, every day give us the same kind of effort out of her that we need to see and we hope to continue to see.
On the hitting side with Brooke, what was the thing that most impressed you about her weekend at the plate?
She's an impressive offensive player. We saw that in the fall, and she got off to kind of a slow start, and I think it took her a few games to get her breath and realize, like, yeah, I can be good at this level too. And once we got through the Oklahoma tournament, and I actually set her out early in the Oklahoma game, put her in for defense late, but I wanted her just to sit back and watch that game and look at it from the perspective of how the game is played at that level from Oklahoma players, from our players. And then from that, I think we played 15 or 16 games since then, and she's hitting over 500. And I really think it's just a matter of her getting her breath and getting her confidence and get going. Now, for what most impressive probably was the power, to see her get the 2 opposite field home runs for 5 RBIs in game 1 and set the tone for the weekend. That was very impressive. But then the maturity to late in the series in game 3, runners on second, third, 2 out, just simply took a low pitch and hit a ground ball right up the middle for 2 RBIs. So she's starting to she's just a really talented offensive player. And then much like Sam Landry, I think she's just been really consistent. So I was impressed with her power. I was impressed with her consistency, and her ability is just impressive as a player.
You had talked previously about Brooke and Sam Rowe kind of working together, Sam taking Brooke under her wing. How big is it to have them both coming online offensively kind of at the same time? Yeah,
Sam Rowe's hitting right at 390 over the last 15, 16 game stretch. So both those kids together are just, we got them both in the middle of the order. They're giving us a huge lift. And I think that the one thing we're seeing is great leadership. And I think we're seeing a shift in leadership down to the sophomore class, where Vic Valdez is really becoming a leader on this team. And even Chloe Risetto and Sissy Vasquez. I mean, they're all becoming leaders, and those kids know how to win. Like their whole history of travel ball before college was winning, and they know how to win, and they're bringing that element to our ball club, including Sam Rowe, who very much has experienced winning throughout her whole softball career. So it's huge to see what they're doing.
I know obviously you're going to take it one game at a time, but these next 6 games could be really critical for you guys. How important is this next 2-week stretch?
Yeah, ever since we start off with we start off 9-12, and I told the team, I told my coaching staff, like every game's a must win now. Every single game is a must win after you start 9-12. So we'll play these next 6 the same way we played the last 16. Is every day is you have to be prepared. You have to be thoroughly scouted. The other team has to be thoroughly scouted, and we can't overlook any details. So I like that because I think that's a good practice to be in. And I think early in the season, I think it was exactly the problem. I think there was games where we just weren't prepared as we should have been. And I think we learned from that, and we've made an adjustment, and I think we're doing better at it. So the next 6, while they're critical, we take the same approach we've taken this last 2 weeks.
Is it too early? Like, what's the issues potentially with this weekend?
They're a very good offensive team. They've got a lot of players that can hit home runs up and down the lineup. Of course, they've got a history of success. They're used to winning. They were able to take a game off of Texas State, so we know they're a formidable opponent on any given day. And, of course, Coach Laura does a great job coaching. But I think just the history of JMU, of course, we swept them at their place last year, so you know that they're using that as motivation this year to come to us. And the history of their program, they're been one of the top mid-majors in college softball over the last 10 years, and they'll come in and they come in expecting to win.
Are you comfortable with having, like, Lexi came in, gave you a few innings? Like, is it important to do that again? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, I love what Delbert give us. It may not seem like much, but she gave us a start there on Sunday, and I'm switching earlier. I'm trying to make my moves quicker. I think we waited too long early in the season making moves. And so I'm trying to take that on myself to make a quick transition from one to the next. And I thought her giving us a good start Sunday and letting Landry just rest, even though it may not seem like a whole lot, 2 1/3 innings is a lot. And as we go through the season, if we can take 2 or 3 innings off Landry every weekend, it'll add up at the end of the year. And I also think it's important we just develop more pitching. I thought she did a good job. She didn't have her best location. Like her rise ball was sometimes low, her drop ball was sometimes up. And she told me, like, I don't feel where the ball's going as good. She knew she didn't have her best location, but she's such a competitor. She still had a 0 on the board. And when we made the move to Landry, I thought it really was I thought it made a difference, Landry only having to go 5 innings versus going a full 7.
And Lexi, like, for someone who carried an SEC team to the World Series and is going through ups and downs, she always seems to be smiling, and she's a leader on the team, isn't she? Even though it seems that way looking at her.
Very much so. The kids really look up to her. She's fun. She's a fun player to be around. She's always happy. In practice, she's always smiling. She's ticked when I took her out Sunday, and I'm glad. I want her to be ticked. That's her. You want every player, you want them to want to compete, and that's what makes her special. She very much wants to be in that circle competing. So, like, I'm not saying there's moments when, I knew I didn't even want to go up to her because I knew she didn't want to come out of that game. And that's exactly what I want as a manager. I want her to want to be out there, and I respect her for wanting to be out there. At the same time, I got to look out for what's in her best interest and our ball club's best interest. And she's just been a really good presence in our dugout and in our clubhouse with her experience and maturity and experience that includes going all the way to World Series. Not just going, but just actually playing a huge role in them going.